The Vorta High Overlord growled in outrage as the alarms blared, unable to conceive how a pathetic Earth animal had infiltrated his command center and armed the planet's entire defense grid. Nicholas Henderson fidgeted nervously as he waited outside the Vorta Council chamber. The skilled human diplomat had a monumental task ahead of him, convincing the proud, technologically advanced Vorta to make peace with Earth. In the initial meetings, the Vorta leaders had sneered in contempt at the very notion of humans keeping animals as pets. They saw it as a weakness, proof that humans were a sentimental, inferior species. Nicholas swallowed hard. Whiskers, his cat, was hidden secretly in his private quarters. The Vorta couldn't find out. As the negotiations turned ugly, with the Vorta making outrageous demands and openly threatening to attack Earth, Nicholas felt the weight of two worlds on his shoulders. Then, all hell broke loose. In the dead of night, as Nicholas paced his room thinking of strategies, Whiskers somehow got out. Before Nicholas even realized his pet was missing, the cat had made its way into a critical Vorta military command center. There, surrounded by advanced alien warships and weapons, the curious feline started pressing buttons. Suddenly, sirens screamed as the entire Vorta defense net came online. The command center locked down. Nicholas rushed to find his cat, his mind racing. If the Vorta discovered Whiskers, it would destroy any hope of peace. But now, incredibly, his pet had done something even worse, armed the Vorta's planet-killing weapons and pushed them to the brink of war. Nicholas had to get his cat back and defuse this ticking time bomb of a situation before it exploded into interstellar conflict. The fate of Earth and the Vorta hinged on his next moves. One wrong step, and billions would die, all because of a cat. As the alarms continued their deafening blare, Nicholas raced through the metallic Vorta corridors. His heart hammered against his ribs as he fumbled for his diplomatic credential chip. He jammed it into the access port outside the command center. The heavy blast doors groaned open. Nicholas burst into the command center. Banks of control consoles stretched before him, a dizzying array of holographic displays and pulsing lights. There, in the center of it all, sat Whiskers. The orange tabby cat lounged atop the main weapons console, tail swishing lazily. Nicholas approached slowly, hands out. "Hey there, buddy. Easy now. Let's not touch any more buttons, okay?" Whiskers regarded Nicholas with an innocent tilt of his head. The cat's paw rested dangerously close to a large, ominously blinking red button. Sweat beaded on Nicholas's forehead. He inched closer, voice low and soothing. "That's it. Nice and easy. Come here, Whiskers. Come on." In one swift motion, Nicholas scooped up Whiskers. The cat let out a startled mewl as Nicholas cradled him close to his chest. Around them, the Vorta technicians worked frantically, clawed fingers flying over the controls. "Defense net disarmed," one technician announced. "All systems back to normal." Nicholas sagged in relief, even as Whiskers squirmed in his arms. The immediate crisis had passed, but as he turned to face the livid Vorta leaders, he knew his troubles were just the beginning. "What is the meaning of this?" Mira, the Vorta commander, stormed up to Nicholas. Her violet eyes flashed with fury. "You would risk war, sabotage our defenses for the sake of this creature?" The other Vorta muttered their agreement, hissing their disapproval. Nicholas straightened, meeting Mira's gaze. "Commander, I apologize for the breach, but please, try to understand. To humans, our pets are more than mere animals. They're our companions, our friends. The bond between a human and their pet is a powerful thing." Mira scoffed. "Powerful? This is weakness, sentiment. If you cannot control your own beasts, how can you be trusted as allies?" "It's not weakness," Nicholas argued. He gestured to Whiskers, who had settled into a contented purr. "Look at what Whiskers accomplished here today. He infiltrated your command center, breached your security, even armed your entire defense grid, all on his own." The Vorta shifted uncomfortably. Low murmurs rippled through the group. "You're right," Nicholas pressed on. "Whiskers is just a cat, but he's a reflection of human ingenuity, adaptability. The same traits that have allowed us to journey to the stars, to forge alliances with races like your own. If a mere pet can challenge the might of the Vorta, perhaps you have underestimated humanity's potential. Mira was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. An intriguing argument. Very well, human. I propose a challenge. Prove the worth of this bond you speak of. Show the strength your pets grant you. Do this, and the Vorta will treat with you as equals. A challenge. Nicholas met Mira's level stare. He knew the stakes. Humanity's future hinged on this. But looking down at Whiskers, nestled in his arms, he felt a flicker of hope. I accept your challenge, Commander. Nicholas squared his shoulders. Prepare to see humanity and our feline friends in a new light. The gauntlet had been thrown. As Nicholas strode from the command center, Whiskers purring at his side, his mind raced. He would need to showcase the incredible abilities of cats, the depth of the human-pet bond. The Vorta wanted proof of humanity's strength. Nicholas smiled. With Whiskers as his partner, he would give them all the proof they could handle. Nicholas stood before the Vorta High Council, heart pounding. Whiskers sat calmly at his feet, tail swishing. The chamber buzzed with tense murmurs. Esteemed Council, Nicholas began, I'm here to show you the true value of human-pet relationships. He launched into a history lesson, pulling up holograms of ancient Egyptian cat statues and modern cat memes. For millennia, cats have inspired us, from art to literature to scientific breakthroughs. The Vorta listened, expressions skeptical but curious. Nicholas moved on to the challenges he'd prepared. Now let me demonstrate Whiskers' abilities. A complex maze materialized before them, filled with obstacles. Nicholas gave a slight nod to Whiskers. The orange tabby sprang into action, leaping and weaving through the construct with fluid grace. Whiskers solved puzzles, triggered switches, and reached the end in record time. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Nicholas smiled. And that's just the beginning. Over the next hour, Nicholas put Whiskers through his paces. The cat retrieved specific objects on command, performed acrobatic feats, and even seemed to understand complex verbal instructions. Impressive, one Vorta counselor admitted grudgingly. But how does this relate to strength? Nicholas grinned. I'm glad you asked. He activated a holographic security system, eerily similar to the one Whiskers had infiltrated earlier. Watch closely. Working in tandem, Nicholas and Whiskers bypassed the virtual defenses. The cat slipped through laser grids while Nicholas hacked consoles. They communicated with subtle gestures and meows. In minutes, they'd cracked the system. You see, Nicholas explained, it's not just about Whiskers' individual skills. It's our bond, our teamwork that makes us strong. This connection fosters empathy, compassion, responsibility, qualities crucial for any advanced society. The council members exchanged thoughtful glances. Nicholas pressed on, describing how pets had shaped human culture and values. As the presentation concluded, the Vorta withdrew to deliberate. Mira approached Nicholas. I must admit, I'm impressed, she said quietly. It's made me question our stance toward humans. We, Vorta, we once had a similar bond with creatures from our homeworld. We lost that connection as we advanced. Nicholas listened intently as Mira shared her people's history. Her eyes lit up with an idea. Perhaps we've been too hasty in our judgment, Mira mused. There may be much our species can learn from each other, about emotional bonds, cooperation, seeing value in unexpected places. Before Nicholas could respond, the council reconvened. The High Overlord stepped forward. We have reached a decision, he announced. In light of this enlightening presentation, we are prepared to reconsider our demands. We will enter into good faith negotiations with the human delegation. Nicholas exhaled, relief washing over him. As the council members filed out, many paused to regard Whiskers with newfound respect. The cat, for his part, simply purred. The Vorta High Council chamber buzzed with anticipation as Nicholas Henderson stepped forward to present his proposal. The tension that once filled the room had dissipated, replaced by a cautious curiosity. "Esteemed Council," Nicholas began, his voice steady, "I propose a cultural exchange program. Select humans and Vorta will live among each other's civilizations, fostering deeper connections and understanding." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The High Overlord leaned forward, intrigued. "Elaborate, Ambassador Henderson." Nicholas outlined the details, emphasizing the mutual benefits. As he finished, the council members exchanged glances, nodding in approval. "Very well," the High Overlord declared. "We accept your proposal. 5 of our finest will accompany you to Earth." Weeks later, Nicholas stood with the Vorta ambassadors on a busy New York City street. The aliens' eyes widened as they took in the sights and sounds, and the omnipresence of animals. "What is that creature?" Mira asked, pointing to a golden retriever trotting alongside its owner. "That's a dog," Nicholas explained, "one of Earth's most popular pets." The Vorta watched in fascination as humans interacted with their animal companions. A seeing-eye dog guided its blind owner across the street. A therapy cat purred in the arms of an elderly woman. Even a police officer stood nearby, his canine partner alert at his side. Nicholas led the group to a suburban neighborhood where host families waited to welcome them. Mira approached the Wilson household, where Sarah Wilson stood on the porch, holding a squirming orange tabby. "Welcome, Ambassador Mira," Sarah greeted warmly. "This is Smokey." As if on cue, Smokey leapt from Sarah's arms and rubbed against Mira's legs, purring loudly. The Vorta diplomat froze, unsure how to react. "It's okay," Sarah encouraged. "He likes you. Try petting him." Hesitantly, Mira reached down and stroked Smokey's fur. The cat arched into her touch, purring louder. Over the next few days, Mira observed the Wilsons' interactions with Smokey. She watched as the cat comforted young Tommy after a nightmare, and how he seemed to sense when Sarah was having a bad day, curling up in her lap. One evening, as Mira sat reading on the couch, Smokey jumped up beside her. Without thinking, she began to pet him, finding comfort in his warmth and soft purrs. Meanwhile, on the Vorta homeworld, Nicholas and his team delved into ancient archives. They uncovered holographic recordings showing Vorta ancestors communing with creatures that resembled a cross between Earth's lemurs and fennec foxes. "The Jar," a Vorta historian explained. "They were our companions, our guides, but as we advanced, we lost our connection to them." Nicholas studied the recordings, an idea forming. What if we could bring them back? Not the exact species, but something similar. The Vorta scientists were intrigued by the possibility. Back on Earth, Mira's understanding of human-animal bonds deepened. She accompanied Sarah to a local animal shelter, where they volunteered. Mira marveled at the dedication of the staff and the resilience of the rescued animals. As the exchange program neared its end, an emergency struck. Alarms blared at a nearby nuclear power plant. Engineers scrambled to locate the source of a potentially catastrophic leak. Mira watched in awe as Smokey's ears perked up. The cat darted towards a small opening in the plant's infrastructure, a space too tight for humans to access. Following Smokey's lead, the engineers pinpointed and contained the leak, averting disaster. In the aftermath, Mira stood before a joint human-Vorta committee. "I propose we establish training programs to incorporate Earth animals into our emergency response protocols," she stated firmly. "Their unique abilities could save countless lives across our civilizations." The committee nodded in agreement. As the meeting concluded, Nicholas caught Mira's eye. They shared a smile, recognizing the dawn of a new era of cooperation between their peoples. Nicholas stood before the joint Human-Vorta Council, his heart racing with excitement. The chamber buzzed with anticipation as he laid out his proposal. "Esteemed colleagues," Nicholas began, "our cultural exchange has opened doors we never imagined. I propose we take the next step, a joint space exploration initiative." Mira, seated among the Vorta representatives, leaned forward. Her violet eyes sparkled with interest as Nicholas outlined the mission objectives. "Imagine," he continued. Human and Vorta scientists working side by side, charting unknown sectors of space. We could discover new worlds, new life forms. Our combined knowledge and technology could unlock the secrets of the universe. The council members murmured among themselves. A Vorta elder raised his hand. And what of the Earth animals that have so impressed us? Will they have a role in this endeavor? Nicholas smiled. Indeed. In fact, I propose we include a very special crew member. Smokey, the cat who helped avert the nuclear crisis. Gasps and excited chatter filled the chamber. Nicholas pressed on, describing how Smokey's heightened senses and agility could assist in scouting missions. After hours of deliberation, the council reached a decision. The initiative was approved. Weeks later, Nicholas stood in the docking bay of the Vorta research vessel Horizon. The ship hummed with activity as the final preparations were made. Human and Vorta crew members worked in tandem, their initial awkwardness replaced by a sense of shared purpose. Mira approached, her commander's uniform crisp and neat. All systems are go, Nicholas. We're ready for launch. Nicholas nodded, a flutter of nerves in his stomach. Where's our feline crew member? As if on cue, Smokey sauntered into view, tail held high. The orange tabby wore a specially designed suit, complete with sensors to monitor her vital signs. There you are, old friend, Nicholas said, bending down to scratch behind Smokey's ears. The cat purred, seemingly unfazed by the bustle around her. The crew boarded the ship, taking their positions. Nicholas settled into his seat, Smokey curled up in a custom carrier beside him. As the engines roared to life, he exchanged a glance with Mira. Ready to make history, he asked. Mira's lips curled into a smile. Let's see what's out there. The horizon lifted off, streaking into the star-studded blackness of space. Days turned into weeks as they pushed deeper into uncharted territory. The crew worked tirelessly, analyzing data and scanning for signs of habitable worlds. One quiet shift, alarms blared across the bridge. We've got something, a Vorta scientist called out. Multiple Earth-like planets detected in system KY 7711. Nicholas rushed to the console, heart pounding. The scans showed a promising candidate, Kepler 452b. Mira, assemble a scouting team. We're going in. The landing party, including Nicholas, Mira, and Smokey, boarded a smaller craft. As they descended through Kepler 452b's atmosphere, lush green landscapes came into view. They touched down in a clearing surrounded by towering trees with iridescent leaves. The air was thick and humid, filled with unfamiliar scents. Nicholas helped Smokey into her protective suit before stepping out. The planet teemed with life. Creatures that looked like a cross between Earth's long-extinct dinosaurs and alien life forms moved through the underbrush. Smokey's ears twitched, her eyes darting to track movement. As they ventured deeper into the alien jungle, Smokey suddenly tensed. She let out a low growl, her tail puffed up. Nicholas froze, following her gaze. There, in the shadows, a pair of glowing eyes watched them. A creature emerged, sleek, muscular, with a coat of shimmering fur. It looked like a large cat, but with elongated limbs and a more intelligent gaze. Incredible, Mira breathed. It's some kind of feline predator. Smokey and the alien cat locked eyes. To everyone's surprise, Smokey let out a soft meow. The alien cat tilted its head, then responded with a similar vocalization. They're communicating, Nicholas said in awe. As they continued their exploration, they stumbled upon ancient ruins. Weathered stone structures were covered in intricate carvings. Nicholas ran his hand over an illustration depicting bipedal beings living alongside creatures that looked strikingly similar to the feline predators they'd encountered. Look at this, Mira called out. She pointed to a series of symbols etched into a fallen column. It's some kind of writing system. As they delved deeper into the ruins, a picture began to emerge. The ancient civilization had lived in harmony with the feline creatures, much like humans and their pets. We need to study this further, Nicholas said, his mind racing with possibilities. Mira, what if we set up a research outpost here? We could learn so much about this planet's history, its ecosystem. Mira nodded, her eyes gleaming with excitement. And perhaps we could attempt to forge a bond with these feline predators, like your kind has done with Earth cats. Nicholas looked at Smokey, who was intently watching another alien cat in the distance. He smiled, feeling a sense of wonder at the possibilities that lay ahead. "Let's do it," he said. "We'll establish an outpost and see if we can rebuild the connection between these creatures and sentient life. Who knows what we might discover?" As the sun began to set on Kepler 452b, casting an alien glow across the landscape, Nicholas knew they were on the cusp of something extraordinary. The adventure was just beginning. Nicholas wiped sweat from his brow as he stood on the edge of the research outpost, watching the alien sun set over Kepler 452b's verdant landscape. The air hummed with activity as humans and Vorta worked side by side, constructing modular habitats and laboratories. "Nicholas, come quick!" Mira's voice crackled through his comm device. "We've made a breakthrough with the feline predators." He jogged to the main research dome, heart racing with anticipation. Inside, Mira stood next to a sleek, muscular creature with iridescent fur and piercing green eyes. The feline's tail swished back and forth as it regarded Nicholas with unmistakable intelligence. "This is Kresh," Mira explained, her violet eyes sparkling with excitement. "Watch this." She held up a simple geometric shape. Kresh's ears perked up, and he emitted a series of clicks and purrs. A nearby computer translated, "Square, 4 sides, equal length." Nicholas's jaw dropped. "Incredible. How long did this take?" "Just a few weeks," Mira replied. "Their capacity for learning is astounding. We've been using a combination of vocalization readers and pheromone detectors to decipher their communication methods." Over the next months, Nicholas and Mira worked tirelessly with Kresh and other members of his species, which they dubbed the Felis. Through a combination of advanced translation technology and patient instruction, they unlocked the secrets of the Felis' complex language. One day, as Nicholas sat cross-legged on the ground, Kresh approached him. The feline's tail twitched, and he emitted a series of low growls and chirps. The translator on Nicholas's wrist buzzed to life. "Long ago, my ancestors lived alongside the 2 legs. We hunted together, protected each other. But the ground shook, mountains fell, the 2 legs vanished. We were alone." Nicholas leaned forward, fascinated. "The 2 legs? Do you mean the Keplerians?" Kresh nodded, a gesture he'd learned from the humans. "Yes, they were our friends, our family. We miss them still." That night, Nicholas couldn't sleep. He paced the length of his quarters, mind racing with possibilities. When morning came, he called an emergency meeting of the research team. "I have a proposal," he announced, standing before the assembled humans and Vorta. "We have the technology, the knowledge. What if we could bring back the Keplerians, or something like them?" A hush fell over the room, followed by an explosion of voices. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the team's lead geneticist, spoke up. "You're talking about creating an entirely new species? The ethical implications alone are worth considering," Mira interjected. "But think of the potential. A new race, perfectly adapted to this world, able to bridge the gap between us and the Felis." Debate raged for days. Some team members voiced concerns about playing God, about unforeseen consequences. Others saw the potential for a new era of interspecies cooperation. In the end, Nicholas's vision won out. With Mira's support and the backing of the Vorta scientists, they began the painstaking process of combining human and Vorta DNA to create a new species, the Keplers. Months of rigorous research and careful genetic engineering followed. Nicholas often found himself working late into the night, poring over data and making minute adjustments to the genetic code. Finally, the day arrived. Nicholas stood before the first group of Kepler hybrids, 10 individuals, each possessing traits of both humans and Vorta, yet uniquely adapted to life on Kepler 452b. "Welcome," he said, voice thick with emotion. "You are the first of your kind, a bridge between worlds." The Keplers regarded him with eyes that held both familiar intelligence and alien wisdom. Slowly, cautiously, they began to explore their surroundings, marveling at the world they'd been born into. Over the following weeks, Nicholas and Mira watched in awe as the Keplers and Feliz formed their first tentative bonds. Kresh took on the role of teacher, showing the hybrids how to move silently through the alien forests, how to read the signs of approaching storms in the shifting colors of the iridescent leaves. In return, the Keplers shared their innate understanding of technology, helping to construct shelters that blended seamlessly with the natural environment. They used materials salvaged from the ancient Keplerian ruins, guided by the Feliz's ancestral memories. As the days passed, Nicholas observed the growing symbiosis between the two species. The Keplers provided medical care when a young Feliz fell ill, using a combination of advanced human Vorta medicine and traditional remedies gleaned from the planet's flora. The Feliz, in turn, protected the fledgling colony from the more dangerous predators that roamed the alien wilderness. One evening, as Nicholas sat reviewing the day's data, Mira joined him. "It's working," she said softly. "Look at them." Outside the research dome, a group of Keplers and Feliz moved together in what appeared to be a hunting party. They communicated seamlessly, a blend of vocalizations, gestures, and subtle pheromone signals that spoke of deep understanding and trust. Nicholas nodded, a sense of wonder filling him. "We've created something truly unique here," he mused. "A new kind of society, built on mutual respect and cooperation." As the alien sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of purple and green, Nicholas felt a profound sense of hope for the future. The adventure that had begun with a simple cultural exchange program had led to the birth of a new civilization, one that might just hold the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. Nicholas stood on the bridge of the HVSF horizon, gazing out at the vast expanse of space. The success of the Kepler 452b colony had sparked a fire in him, a burning desire to push further into the unknown. He turned to Mira, her violet eyes mirroring his excitement. "It's time," he said. "We've proven what's possible when species work together. Now let's take it to the stars." Mira nodded, her antennae twitching with anticipation. "I've already begun compiling a list of potential crew members. The Keplers have shown remarkable adaptability." Over the next weeks, Nicholas and Mira pored over personnel files debating the merits of each candidate. They selected a diverse team, brilliant Kepler scientists, seasoned human explorers, and Vorta strategists. At the heart of it all was Kresh, the Feliz, who had first bridged the gap between species. The day of launch arrived. The HVSF Starseeker, a marvel of joint engineering, gleamed in the docking bay. Its sleek hull housed laboratories, living quarters, and specialized Feliz habitats. Nicholas watched as the crew boarded, each face a mix of nervousness and excitement. Kresh padded up beside him, tail swishing. "We ready, Nicholas?" the Feliz asked, his translator conveying the mix of growls and chirps. Nicholas scratched behind Kresh's ears. "As ready as we'll ever be, old friend." The Starseeker's engines roared to life, propelling them into the unknown. Months passed as they traversed the cosmos, each day bringing new wonders. Finally, they arrived at their target, a cluster of potentially habitable exoplanets. In the ship's control room, Nicholas leaned over a holographic display. "Deploy the probes," he ordered. "Let's see what we're dealing with." The crew watched with nervous excitement as data streamed in. 2 planets stood out, Gliese 667cc and Kepler 186f. Nicholas turned to Kresh. "Time to put those hunting skills to use. Take your team and gather as much intel as you can." Kresh's ears perked up. He assembled his Feliz scouts, their sleek bodies disappearing into the shuttle bay. Nicholas watched on the interface as the small craft descended towards Gliese 667cc. Hours later, Kresh's voice crackled over the comm. "Nicholas, this planet, it's not good. The ground shakes beneath our feet. The air burns our lungs. We must leave." Disappointment rippled through the crew, but Nicholas remained hopeful. On to Kepler 186F, he said. Let's see what you find there. The wait seemed interminable. Finally, Kresh's excited yowl filled the bridge. Nicholas, Mira, you must see this. The shuttle returned, and Kresh bounded out, his eyes wide with wonder. It's beautiful, he purred. Green forests, blue waters, and life. So much life. As Kresh described the planet, Nicholas felt a surge of excitement, but it was the Felice's next words that sent a jolt through him. We saw structures, Kresh said, crude but unmistakable, and tracks, bipedal tracks. A hush fell over the bridge. Mira's antennae quivered. Intelligent life? She whispered. Nicholas nodded, his mind racing. Kresh, assemble a small team. We need to make contact, but carefully. Use everything we've learned about interspecies communication. Days passed as Kresh and his team worked to establish a rapport with the planet's inhabitants. They returned with incredible news, a primitive nomadic species capable of basic tool use and simple language. As Nicholas listened to Kresh's report, he felt a growing sense of awe. They're not just intelligent, he murmured. They're familiar, almost as if... Mira finished his thought. As if they're connected to us somehow. Further exploration and careful interaction with the natives revealed a startling truth. These beings were not just another alien species. They were the descendants of a once great civilization, one that had seeded life throughout the galaxy. In a private meeting with Mira, Nicholas paced back and forth. Do you realize what this means? He asked. We could be looking at the key to understanding the origin of all intelligent life. Mira nodded, her eyes shining with possibilities. But they've lost so much, reverted to a primitive state. Nicholas stopped pacing, a plan forming in his mind. Then we help them remember. We use everything we've learned, everything we've built with the human Vorta Feliz alliance. We could uplift an entire civilization, Mira, bring them back into the galactic community. As they discussed the implications, the enormity of the task ahead became clear. It would be more than just a scientific endeavor or a diplomatic mission. They stood on the brink of reshaping the future of multiple species, of uncovering the very roots of intelligent life in the galaxy. Nicholas looked out at the stars, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through him. The journey that had begun with a simple cultural exchange program had led them here, to the threshold of a discovery that could change everything, and it was only the beginning. Nicholas leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the holographic display. The swirling image of Kepler 186F rotated slowly, its blue-green surface a stark contrast to the black void of space. We've come so far, he said, turning to Mira. But this could change everything. Mira nodded, her antennae twitching with excitement. The nomads hold the key. We just need to unlock it. They spent days refining their plan. The Starseekers labs buzzed with activity as they prepared educational modules and assembled a team of Kepler scientists. Joran, a young Kepler with piercing blue eyes and a shock of silver hair, stepped forward. I'm ready to lead the expedition, Dr. Henderson. Nicholas clasped the hybrid's shoulder. Remember, patience is key. We're not conquerors, we're partners. The shuttle descended through Kepler 186F's atmosphere, touching down on a vast grassland. Joran led his team out, Kresh padding silently beside him. In the distance, a group of nomads watched warily. Days turned to weeks. Joran and his team built a small outpost, inviting the curious nomads to observe. Kresh's presence proved invaluable, his feline grace and intelligence bridging the gap between species. One evening, as twin moons rose in the alien sky, a young nomad approached Joran. You come from the stars, she said haltingly, using words taught by the Keplers, like our ancestors. Joran's eyes widened. Tell me more, he urged gently. The nomad, who called herself Zara, spoke of ancient tales passed down through generations, of a time when her people sailed the cosmic seas, shaping life on countless worlds. In the Starseeker's command center, Nicholas and Mira listened intently to Joran's report. "It's incredible," Mira breathed. "They're not just intelligent, they're the descendants of an advanced civilization." Nicholas nodded, his mind racing. "We need to know more. Joran, prepare for a deep space expedition. Use the star charts from their oral histories." Months later, the Starseeker approached a desolate world orbiting a dying red giant. Joran led a team to the surface, Zara and Kresh at his side. They trudged across a barren landscape, scanners probing the ground beneath their feet. Suddenly, Kresh's ears perked up. He emitted a series of clicks and growls. Zara's eyes widened. "He senses something familiar," she translated. They uncovered the entrance to a vast underground complex. As they descended, lights flickered to life, responding to their presence. Joran gasped as they entered a cavernous chamber filled with sleek alien technology. "Look at this," he breathed, approaching a console. It hummed to life under his touch, projecting a holographic display of DNA strands and planet formations. Zara's hands trembled as she touched the controls. "Our ancestors, they created life, shaped worlds." In another chamber, they found rows upon rows of stasis pods, each containing genetic material from hundreds of species. Kresh approached one, his tail twitching. The pod's display came to life, showing an image of a creature remarkably similar to the Feliz. Joran's voice shook as he reported back to the Starseeker. "Dr. Henderson, you won't believe what we found. It's the origin of everything." Back on the ship, Nicholas and Mira pored over the data. "We can use this," Nicholas said, his voice filled with awe. "We can restore life to dead worlds, create new species adapted to survive in harsh environments." Mira nodded, her violet eyes shining. "A new galactic alliance. Countless worlds, each with its own unique life forms, all working together." Nicholas stood, gazing out at the stars. "We'll need to proceed carefully. The power to create life, it's a tremendous responsibility." Mira joined him at the viewport. "But think of the possibilities, Nicholas. We could reshape the galaxy, fulfill the legacy of Zara's ancestors." Nicholas nodded slowly, his mind filled with visions of a future unlike anything humanity had ever dreamed. "Then let's get to work," he said softly. "We have a galaxy to rebuild." Nicholas stood before the holographic display, his eyes scanning the intricate web of genetic codes and cultural imprints. The vast chamber hummed with activity as researchers from various species worked in harmony, decoding the secrets of the lost civilization. Joran, the young Kepler scientist, approached with a tablet in hand. "Dr. Henderson, we've made a breakthrough," he said, his blue eyes gleaming with excitement. "The genetic repositories contain more than just biological data. They're entire civilizations, encoded at the molecular level." Nicholas leaned in, studying the complex patterns on the screen. "Show me," he urged. Joran's fingers danced across the tablet, bringing up a three-dimensional model of a DNA strand. As they watched, the strand uncoiled, revealing layers of information hidden within its structure. "It's not just genes," Joran explained. "It's memories, knowledge, even cultural traditions. The ancients found a way to compress the essence of entire species into self-replicating matrices." Nicholas straightened, his mind racing with possibilities. He turned to Mira, who stood nearby, her antennae twitching with interest. "Mira, gather the team. We need to discuss this immediately." Hours later, in a conference room aboard the Starseeker, Nicholas laid out his plan. "We have an opportunity to do more than just create new life," he said, addressing the assembled group of humans, Vorta, Keplers, and Feliz. "We can bring back lost civilizations, adapted for new worlds." Kresh, the Feliz ambassador, tilted his head. "How do we choose?" he asked, his translator conveying the mix of curiosity and concern in his voice. Nicholas nodded, acknowledging the weight of the question. "We'll select a dozen candidates, each suited for a different type of world. We'll use our combined knowledge, human ingenuity, Vorta adaptability, Kepler science, and Feliz instinct, to refine these genetic matrices. Over the next months, a flurry of activity transformed a barren moon into a hub of creation. Vast terraforming engines reshaped the lunar surface, while inside gleaming domes, geneticists worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of the ancient DNA. Joran stood before a glowing incubation chamber, watching as cells divided and took shape. "The first hybrid," he murmured, awe evident in his voice. "We're calling them Aurelians." Nicholas joined him, placing a hand on the young scientist's shoulder. "Tell me about them," he said softly. "They're incredible," Joran replied. "Encoded in their DNA is the knowledge of a civilization that lived in harmony with nature. They'll be able to communicate with plants, sense changes in the ecosystem, and they'll remember, not consciously, but instinctively, how to build sustainable cities, how to harness clean energy." As the years passed, Nicholas watched the fruits of their labor take root across the galaxy. On a lush, forest-covered world, the first Aurelians emerged from their birthing pods, their eyes filled with an ancient wisdom. From the observation deck of an orbiting station, Nicholas and Mira watched as the fledgling civilization grew. Aurelian cities rose among the treetops, structures of living wood and crystal that seemed to grow from the forest itself. "It's beautiful," Mira said, her violet eyes reflecting the verdant world below. Nicholas nodded, a sense of pride and wonder filling him. "And it's just the beginning," he replied. Emboldened by their success, they turned their attention to other worlds. On a planet of endless oceans, they seeded the Aquarii, a species adapted for life beneath the waves. On a world of towering mountains, the avian Zephyrians took flight, their cities perched on peaks that pierced the clouds. As each new civilization flourished, the bonds between worlds grew stronger. Phaela's guardians watched over the young species, while teams of human, Vorta, and Kepler advisors offered guidance and support. In the command center of the newly constructed Nexus station, a hub of interstellar communication, Nicholas stood before a wall of screens. Each display showed a different world, a different civilization, all linked in a tapestry of cooperation and shared knowledge. Mira joined him, her antennae quivering with excitement. "The network is stable," she reported. "All 12 worlds are now in constant communication." Nicholas nodded, a sense of awe washing over him. He watched as Aurelian philosophers debated with Zephyrian artists, while Aquarii scientists shared discoveries with human researchers. It was more than an alliance. It was a new form of galactic society, built on the foundations of ancient wisdom and modern cooperation. "We've done it, Mira," Nicholas said softly. "We've created something truly—" Nicholas stood at the viewport, his eyes scanning the glittering tapestry of stars. The interstellar network hummed with life, a testament to years of tireless work. Yet beneath the surface of this grand achievement, a sinister threat lurked. "Dr. Henderson," Mira's voice crackled over the comm, "we've received an urgent transmission from the Aurelian homeworld." Nicholas hurried to the command center, his footsteps echoing through the Starseeker's corridors. Mira stood before a holographic display, her antennae twitching with tension. "Play it," Nicholas said, bracing himself. The image of an Aurelian elder flickered to life. His luminous eyes, usually filled with serenity, now brimmed with fear. "Alliance, we beseech your aid. A faction of our kind has strayed from our path. They seek forbidden knowledge, endangering all we've built." Nicholas and Mira exchanged glances. "Joran," they said in unison. Within hours, Joran and his team of elite Keplers were en route to the remote world where the rogue Aurelians had established their base. As their shuttle broke through the planet's atmosphere, an eerie silence enveloped them. Joran's hands tightened on the controls. "Something's wrong. The Aurelian settlements should be teeming with life." They touched down in a clearing, the air thick with an acrid stench. Joran led his team through the underbrush, their footsteps muffled by the dense foliage. As they crested a hill, the horrifying truth revealed itself. Before them lay the ruins of an Aurelian village. Bodies littered the ground, their forms twisted and misshapen. Joran knelt beside one, his scanner humming. "By the stars," he whispered. "Their genetic structure, it's been completely rewritten." A blood-curdling roar shattered the silence. From the shadows of a nearby structure emerged a nightmarish creature, an Aurelian, but grotesquely altered. Muscles bulged beneath its skin, its eyes devoid of any spark of intelligence or empathy. "Fall back," Joran shouted. His team scrambled for cover as the monstrosity charged. Blaster fire lit up the night, but the creature shrugged off the attacks. With terrifying speed, it closed in on one of the Keplers, rending flesh from bone with inhuman strength. Joran's mind raced. This was no mere mutation. This was deliberate engineering. "Retreat to the shuttle," he ordered. "We need to warn the Alliance." As they fled through the jungle, more of the twisted Aurelians emerged from the shadows. Joran's team fought desperately, buying time for their leader to reach the shuttle and transmit their findings. With a heavy heart, Joran initiated the launch sequence. Through the view screen, he watched as the last of his team fell to the relentless onslaught. The shuttle rocketed into the sky, leaving behind a world consumed by madness. Back on the Starseeker, Nicholas and Mira listened in horror to Joran's report. The young Kepler's voice trembled as he recounted the horrors he'd witnessed. "It's worse than we feared," Nicholas said, his face ashen. "This Lyran, he's found a way to corrupt the very essence of what we created." Mira's violet eyes hardened with persistence. "We can't let this spread. The entire network is at risk." Nicholas nodded, the weight of worlds settling on his shoulders. "Gather our most trusted allies. We're going in ourselves." As the Starseeker set course for the rogue world, Nicholas stared out at the stars. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but the alternative, the corruption of everything they'd built, was unthinkable. With unyielding commitment, he prepared to face the darkness that threatened to unravel the tapestry of life they had so carefully woven.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.